Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Advancement Center, to the world of magic and miracles, and to the world beyond magic and miracles. Incredibly warm day here in Santa Barbara, California. It feels like you're sitting in a warm bath today. Thank goodness for this lovely breeze. And welcome to yet a new day as we continue, each and every one of us, on this new adventure of life, as things are still changing and moving and shifting, and it's happening so fast. And sometimes parts of you, perhaps your physical body, can't keep up with the changes that are happening. But just to have that knowing that everything is okay, that there are no problems. And one of my most favorite gifts, which I feel so much appreciation for, is nature and the animal world. Because as I, shortly after, I think that was a damselfly that just flew by me. Shortly after leaving my house today on the way here, some sort of a hawk, it might have even been an osprey, flew so close to my car, it absolutely took my breath away. Like, it was coming down from the left to, apparently it saw something on the side of the road where there's trees and grass and out in the country. Must have seen something there, and I almost thought I was gonna make contact with it. That's how close it was. But of course that didn't happen. But it's the experience of it. It doesn't matter what is going on in your world or parent world. When something like that appears in front of you, it just takes you out of everything. And it's such a great example of, if you think you have a problem and then something like that appears, you have no problem. Everything else disappears. Therefore, you can see you have no problem. It was that kind of a message for me today. And through this time, my last couple of broadcasts have been a little bit different as I continue to push past some physical things happening with me. I'm doing the best I can to stay on top of it. It's really an interesting experience. I'm at times a bit disappointed with myself as I lose patience. I get frustrated. I can't move as quickly as I used to be able to move. So it's an interesting experience to continue to keep climbing on top of that wave, no matter what. And start to fly, start to pull out as you rise higher, as you distance yourself from this apparent world here, the physical world on planet Earth, and all the circumstances and all the events and the things that have been really pulling me in. that constant reminder to just keep pulling back, watching from a distance, and then not watching as you connect with something like the bird, as you connect with the ocean, with the moon. The last couple of nights of my work, as I'm driving home after midnight, we've had a half moon that's been setting to the west just as I'm driving along the ocean. And again, it just takes your breath away. It's almost directly in my view as I'm driving. I'm driving almost directly west. And it's huge. The closer it gets to the earth as it sets, it turns more and more orange. It's surreal. I just love these moments. I just went on a little trip. I used to do a lot of driving when I'm from Northern California, the Bay Area, and I used to do a lot of driving by myself up the coast into the wilds of West Marin, always to the ocean. And there's so much nature there. There's miles and miles and miles and miles with no buildings, no houses, just hills and trees and grasslands and lagoon and waterfalls. And it's always felt like my home when I'm in those places. And I remember one time, old friend of my mother's was in town. This is probably a couple of decades ago. He was from New York, and I became the driver, the tour guide for him and my mother as I took them to this beautiful beach in Marin called Limantour Beach, which it takes a bit to get to. It's way out. And when you're out and you finally get to the ocean, you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. It's so far from any towns, even of any considerable size. The feeling is incredible. And the ocean's a bit different there than the beach I grew up on, which was Stinson Beach, quite a few miles to the south, where you can swim, and the waves were big, but this Limantour Beach drops very suddenly. I don't know that I've ever actually swam there. It's a little scarier because the waves are bigger and they crash harder. And I think it's because the ocean floor drops quite deep, very close. But this one day, I'm walking by the ocean with my mother and her friend, and we had so many animal visits. We had sea lions or seals visit. I'm trying to remember, it's been quite a while, but the reason I'm sharing this is this man who lived in New York City. All he saw every day, he was an artist, he was a painter. All he saw every day was the city, and to experience the magic that came into his life that day was incredible. It brought me so much joy. And I wasn't thinking about it in that way. I was just doing what I do, which is sharing things I love. And I love being tour guide. It's so funny that the job I have right now, because I realize I'm part tour guide, and it brings me so much joy when someone comes to visit that's not from here, not from this part of planet Earth. And to be their tour guide for their short stay is fun. It's an honor. I don't even know how to put it into words, but when you feel that feeling of, again, it's not from thought. It's not something that's planned even, at least with me. It's spontaneous. It's this impulse to take someone to the ocean, for example. I mean, he was delighted to go, and then to have these experiences that for him were unprecedented. And he even wrote or spoke with my mother after that, and you could tell for years he never forgot that day. And if I can in any way do that, and it seems to be one of those things that I do, is just being in someone's presence, even if it's just for a moment or 5 minutes or a couple of hours, and an experience happens that's magic, that stays, the feeling stays. It's just glorious. So there's so many things. Sometimes there's so much rushing in when you sit here in front of this computer screen and camera. Sometimes things come flooding in, and it's so fast. It's like a massive flow of a river suddenly, and it's just washing over. And you can't capture anything. It's just the flow. And the brain, the mind, because of this context, wants to grab something so it can talk about it. The beauty of having a desire for a little bit of coolness, and then the wind blows. The beauty of seeing clouds outside your window and saying, oh, I want rain, and it rains. This just happened a couple of days ago. It was a very warm day up in Solvang, and out of nowhere, rain started falling. It didn't last long, but it's a pretty amazing experience. It's such a a beautiful confirmation of our gentle power. I remember one day, things keep popping in. Again, I mentioned this place called Stinson Beach. It's on the coast of Marin, where I basically grew up from 2 years of age on. It was our vacation spot for many, many years. And I would go back there later in life. It was my magical place, Stinson Beach and Mount Tamalpais right behind it. I would go often by myself. I would either hike up and down the mountain, or I would just go to the ocean, or I would just drive. And one day I was heading to the ocean, and it was, as it often is in that part of the world, it was overcast and possibly even raining. I can't remember. And as I'm walking out the path to the beach, I asked for the clouds to clear for my walk on the beach. And the most amazing thing happened. As I approached the beach, the clouds cleared where I was. It was gray everywhere else, everywhere around me, except over me. And I proceeded to turn right on the beach to walk. In my entire beach walk, there was blue sky above me and clouds everywhere else. Complete cloud cover, not just clouds. I mean, covered, like fog covered. It's quite magical when these things happen, and when there's no one there but you to witness the experience. So it's fun to be able to share that now, even though it just pops up out of nowhere. And I even remember another day. In fact, I think it was my 50th birthday. I went to the beach by myself. And way, way, way in the distance, I mean, wow, several hundred yards. I don't know. It was way, way in the distance. The tide was very, very low. There's lots of expanse of sand. And I was walking by a portion of the beach where there's big rocks and then houses along the beach. And way in the distance is a person. I couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman. I was so far away. And a tiny little dog. I could see a dog. It was so far away. And I wanted to say hi to the dog. This may sound really strange, but this is welcome to my world. So I look at the dog from this great distance, and I lower myself like into a squatting position on the sand where I'm walking, and I hold my arms out like you're welcoming a friend. And the dog came running. I don't know this dog. I don't know the owner. And this dog came running to me as if I was its owner. It was the most amazing experience. So excited when it got to me, jumping up and down, like, you know how dogs can smile at you. It was the sweetest. I think I started crying. It was just so sweet. And after a little while, I'm noticing the owner, and I'm thinking, oh, they're probably concerned about their dog. So I had to gently say to the dog, go back home, go back home. And then the dog looked at me and then turned around and ran back to her owner. But these are just a tiny window in some of my experiences here on planet Earth. So many of them, like as I mentioned, being alone and having these just brilliant, magical interactions with nature and the animals and the wind and the rain. So I'm going to leave you with that today. May your day be filled with the beauty of nature, the joy of these innocent beings, like this dog I just brought back in. The sweetness reminds me of a little child. That sweetness, that innocence, that purity. That's such a joy to experience. And once again, may your day be filled with birds and cool breezes if it's warm where you are, and love and laughter, as we do here after every broadcast. Celebrate as often as you can. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Advancement Center. And I wish you once again a perfect life, perfect health, and a fantastically magic future. Thank you.